Dr. Alice Martinez stared at the strange symbols floating above her desk at the International Space Research Institute. At first, she thought someone was playing a prank with a new hologram projector. But after 3 attempts to wave away the symbols, she realized this was something entirely different. The symbols rearranged themselves, slowly forming into English letters. Her heart raced as she read the message. "Greetings, Earth. We come in peace. Please respond if you can understand this message." She pressed the emergency button under her desk, and within minutes, the Institute's main conference room filled with senior scientists and government officials. They all watched as she showed them the recording of the message on her tablet. It appeared exactly at 3:47 p.m. She explained, her voice steady despite her excitement. The symbols seemed to adapt to our language on their own. The room burst into whispered conversations until General Eric Peters raised his hand for silence. "Dr. Martinez, can you send a response?" She nodded and typed a simple message. "We understand. Who are you?" The answer came quickly. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council, with representatives from over 300 species. They had been watching Earth for some time, waiting for the right moment to make contact. Over the next few days, Alice learned more about their visitors. The main representatives were from a species called the Zixteri, who looked somewhat like tall, blue-skinned humans with 4 arms and large, silver eyes. They requested permission to land a small delegation at the Institute to meet face-to-face. Security teams set up a perimeter around the landing site. News channels from around the world broadcast live footage as a silver ship, about the size of a small bus, descended from the clouds. It made no sound as it landed on the Institute's front lawn. 3 Zixteri stepped out of the ship. They wore flowing robes covered in the same kinds of symbols Alice had seen in the first message. The tallest one spoke perfect English, introducing himself as Ambassador Kelth. "We have come to learn about your species," Kelth said, bowing slightly. "Earth has been isolated from the galactic community for many cycles, and we wish to understand you better." Alice stepped forward as Earth's chosen representative. "We're honored to meet you and happy to share our knowledge. But we have many questions too." Kelth smiled, or at least Alice thought it was a smile. "Of course. We propose a cultural exchange. We would like to study human physiology and society, and in return we will share some of our technological knowledge." The world's leaders quickly agreed to this exchange, though they set strict rules about what the aliens could study. The Zixteri seemed particularly interested in human biology and history. "Your species is quite unique," Kelth said as he toured the Institute's laboratories. "Most intelligent life evolves on much more gentle worlds. Earth is what we would call a death world." Alice wasn't sure how to take that comment. A death world. A planet with extreme conditions that force life to become incredibly resilient, Kelth explained. "The fact that humans survived and built civilizations is remarkable." The first day of contact ended with a formal dinner where human and alien scientists sat together, sharing stories and information. Alice noticed how carefully the Zixteri watched everything the humans did, from how they ate to how they laughed. Later that night, as she wrote her report, Alice couldn't shake the feeling that there was something odd about the aliens' interest in humans. They seemed almost too interested in basic things like human strength and endurance. She added a note at the end of her report. "While the Zixteri appear friendly and open, their focus on our physical capabilities suggests they might know something about humans that we don't know ourselves. Recommend careful monitoring of all research activities." As she looked out her office window at the alien ship gleaming under the moonlight, Alice wondered if humanity was ready for whatever truths the galaxy might reveal about their species. The next few months would change everything they thought they knew about themselves and their place in the universe. Christopher Bennett watched as the alien anthropologist Krithax measured the running track for the 5th time. The Zixteri scientist seemed confused by the simple oval shape, his 4 arms moving quickly as he made notes on his tablet. "And humans run on this for fun?" Krithax asked, his silver eyes wide with disbelief. "Some of us do," Chris replied, trying not to laugh at the aliens' bewilderment. Others run to stay healthy or train for competitions. They were at the Colorado Research Facility, which had been set up specifically for studying human capabilities. The morning sun cast long shadows across the track as a group of volunteers prepared for today's endurance tests. Krithax checked his instruments again. On my world, we only run if something is chasing us. The idea of running without danger seems strange. The first volunteer, a marathon runner named Lisa Baker, started her run. Krithax watched in silence as she maintained a steady pace, lap after lap. After 30 minutes, she was still going strong. Remarkable, Krithax muttered. Her core temperature has barely changed, and her breathing pattern is stable. How long can she continue? Lisa usually runs for about 2 hours during her training, Chris said casually, not realizing how this information would affect the alien scientist. Krithax dropped his tablet. 2 hours. Continuous running. Without rest. Before Chris could respond, another scientist called them to the weight room. Here, they found more volunteers ready to demonstrate human strength capabilities. A weightlifter named Peter Garcia was preparing for his session. Please note, Krithax announced to his research team that human muscles appear to be denser than those of most known species. We must adjust our equipment accordingly. Peter began his workout routine, and the aliens watched in fascination as he lifted weights that would be challenging for some of their cargo loading machines. What impressed them even more was how quickly he recovered between sets. Your species can repair micro-muscle damage within days, Krithax explained to Chris. Most species we know take weeks to recover from similar stress. During the lunch break, Chris noticed Krithax and his team huddled together, speaking quickly in their own language. They kept glancing at the humans in the cafeteria, especially when someone laughed or showed any kind of emotion. Is everything okay? Chris asked, approaching their table. Krithax seemed startled. Yes, we are just processing the morning's data. Tell me, what happens if a human breaks a bone? Well, it heals, usually in about 6 to 8 weeks, Chris answered. The aliens exchanged looks that Chris couldn't interpret. Krithax made more notes on his tablet, and during this healing time, humans can still move, still work. If the injury isn't too severe, yes, we have ways to protect broken bones while they heal, like casts and braces. That evening, as Chris was finishing his daily report, he overheard 2 Zixteri researchers talking outside his office. He wasn't supposed to understand their language yet, but he had been secretly learning it. They don't seem to realize, one was saying. Their baseline abilities exceed emergency survival responses in most species. The council must be informed, the other replied. These humans, they're far more durable than we expected. Chris added this conversation to his report, but decided not to mention that he understood their language. Something told him it might be useful to keep that information to himself. As he drove home that night, he thought about how the aliens had reacted to such normal human activities. If they were this amazed by simple exercises, how would they respond when they learned about extreme sports, or about how humans had survived in some of Earth's harshest environments? He had a feeling that tomorrow's combat sports demonstration might give Krithax and his team even more surprises. What seemed normal to humans was clearly shocking to their galactic visitors, and this was just the beginning of their research. Navy SEAL Kate Rodriguez stood calmly in the testing chamber, while the alien scientists attached their monitoring devices to her arms and chest. She had been chosen to demonstrate advanced human combat capabilities, but so far, all she had done was stand still for an hour while the Zixteri fussed with their equipment. These readings cannot be correct, Krithax muttered, tapping his scanner. Your resting heart rate is so slow, yet you are fully conscious and alert. That's just good training, Kate said with a slight smile. She didn't mention that her heart rate was actually a bit elevated due to excitement. The demonstration area had been set up like an obstacle course. There were walls to climb, weights to lift, and various challenges that would test strength speed, and endurance. A group of alien observers watched from behind a protective barrier, their silver eyes fixed on Kate. "We will begin with a simple adrenaline response test," Krithax announced. "Please attempt to lift that metal bar." Kate looked at the bar, which was clearly too heavy for a human to lift normally. "You want me to try even though it's too heavy?" "Yes, please. We wish to observe your response to failure." Kate shrugged and grabbed the bar. As expected, she couldn't lift it. But then Krithax pressed a button, and a loud alarm blared through the room. Simultaneously, several panels in the floor dropped away, creating the impression that the platform Kate was standing on might collapse. Without thinking, Kate grabbed the bar again and lifted it clear off the ground, using it to bridge the gap to safe ground. The aliens gasped as their instruments recorded the sudden surge in her strength. "Fascinating," Krithax exclaimed. "Your muscle power nearly tripled under threat response." But Kate wasn't listening. Her training had kicked in, and she was already assessing the room for threats and escape routes. She moved with fluid grace through the obstacle course, easily scaling walls and jumping gaps that should have been too wide for her size. "Stop the test," one of the alien observers shouted. "She's exceeding safety parameters." Krithax tried to approach Kate, but she was moving too quickly, her movements precise and controlled despite the chaos around her. The aliens watched in a mixture of horror and amazement as she demonstrated exactly what a trained human could do under pressure. Finally, after Kate had cleared every obstacle in the room, Chris Bennett managed to get her attention. "Kate, you're safe. It was just a test." She stopped immediately, her breathing barely elevated despite the intense activity. The aliens' monitoring devices were going crazy, trying to process what they had just witnessed. "We need to discuss this," Krithax said to his team, his voice shaking slightly. "Humans don't just get stronger under threat. They get faster, more focused, and more efficient. And this one isn't even showing signs of fatigue." Kate took a drink from her water bottle, watching as the alien scientists huddled together, gesturing frantically at their data readings. She caught fragments of their conversation about sustained threat response and enhanced cognitive function under stress. Chris walked over to her, speaking quietly. "I think you scared them a bit." "I was just doing what comes naturally," Kate replied. "Besides, they're the ones who set off the alarm." Later that evening, Krithax sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council. The testing facility's security system recorded his words. "The humans are far more dangerous than we initially believed. Their bodies don't just release emergency chemicals like adrenaline. They effectively enter an enhanced state of being under threat. And most terrifying of all, they can maintain this state for extended periods without suffering immediate negative effects." He paused before adding, "Even more concerning, the subject we tested today was not considered exceptional by their standards. This was, according to their records, a fairly typical example of a trained human warrior. We must reconsider our approach to studying these beings. They are not simply strong. They are built for survival in ways we never imagined possible." Dr. Nathan Phillips stood before the alien delegation in the conference room, preparing to give his presentation on human military history. The walls displayed images from various battles and conflicts throughout time, from ancient warfare to modern military operations. "Before we begin," Nathan said, noticing how the aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats, "I should warn you that some of this information might be disturbing." Krithax nodded, his four hands busy with different recording devices. "Please proceed, Doctor. We need to understand." Nathan started with ancient history, showing how humans had survived and fought in every environment on Earth. He explained how armies had marched through deserts, fought in freezing mountains, and crossed oceans in wooden ships. "Your species deliberately went into these conditions," one alien asked, looking horrified. "Without environmental suits?" "Yes," Nathan replied. "Humans can adapt to survive in most environments on Earth. We've lived in the Arctic cold and the hottest deserts. We've built cities on mountains and in valleys, near volcanoes, and on earthquake fault lines. The aliens whispered among themselves as Nathan continued. He showed them how humans had survived plagues, famines, and natural disasters, how they rebuilt after every catastrophe, often coming back stronger than before. "But surely you avoid these dangerous areas now?" Krifax asked hopefully. Nathan shook his head. "Actually, many humans choose to live in dangerous places. Some even seek out danger for fun. We call them thrill seekers or adventurers." He showed videos of mountain climbers scaling impossible peaks, deep sea divers exploring ocean trenches, and people jumping from planes for sport. With each example, the alien's silver eyes grew wider. "And what about warfare?" Another alien asked quietly. "How do humans handle combat?" Nathan took a deep breath. "Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've developed many different ways to fight, but what might surprise you most is our ability to keep fighting even when badly hurt." He explained how soldiers could continue fighting with serious injuries, how people had survived seemingly unsurvivable situations through sheer determination. The aliens looked increasingly worried as he described human pain tolerance and recovery abilities. "There's something else you should know," Nathan added. "Humans don't just survive. We learn from every conflict. We adapt our strategies, improve our tools, and pass these lessons down to the next generation." Krifax's hands trembled as he made notes. "You're saying that humans actually get better at warfare over time? That you learn from your defeats?" "We learn from everything. Victories, defeats, and even near misses. It's part of who we are." As the presentation ended, one of the younger aliens raised a hand. "What about the humans who don't fight? The peaceful ones?" Nathan smiled. "Even our most peaceful members can fight if they must. It's not that humans love violence. Most of us hate it, but we will fight fiercely to protect ourselves and others if we have to." After the presentation, Nathan overheard two aliens talking in the hallway. They were sending an urgent message to their superiors. The humans are not just physically dangerous. They are mentally equipped for warfare in ways we never imagined. They can fight in any environment, learn from their mistakes, and keep fighting even when logically they should stop. Most concerning of all, they teach these abilities to their children. Every generation of humans is potentially more capable than the last. Later that evening, as Nathan packed up his materials, Krifax approached him. "Doctor, there is something I must ask. Given all these capabilities, why haven't humans tried to expand beyond their planet more aggressively?" Nathan thought for a moment. "Maybe because we've been too busy fighting each other. Or maybe we just needed to meet someone else out there first. But now that we know we're not alone, who knows what humans might do next?" He watched Krifax hurry away, probably to send another worried report to the Galactic Council. Nathan wondered how the aliens would react when they learned that everything he had shown them today was just the beginning of what humans could do. Lieutenant Sandra Morris sat in the quiet control room of the Lunar Defense Base, monitoring communications from across the solar system. Ever since Earth had made contact with the Galactic Council, her job had gotten much more interesting. Today, something wasn't right. The alien chatter was different than usual. Using the translation software developed from the 6 TB data, she listened to messages flying between alien ships. What she heard made her blood run cold. "The humans must be contained," one message said. "They are too dangerous to allow into the wider galaxy." Another voice responded, "Containment may not be enough. Did you see the latest reports? They can survive radiation levels that would kill most species. They eat poison for pleasure. They let their young play at fighting." Sandra quickly sent a priority message to her commanding officer. Within minutes, Captain Paul Harris rushed into the control room. "What have you got?" he asked, leaning over her console. Sandra played back the intercepted messages. More were coming in every minute. Alien ships were gathering at the edges of the solar system, more than they had ever seen before. "Some of the species are calling for a preemptive strike," Sandra explained. "They're scared of us, sir, really scared." Paul grabbed the secure phone to contact Earth's Defense Command. While he talked, Sandra continued monitoring the alien discussions. The translation software was working overtime to keep up with all the different alien languages. "They're talking about something called the Dithworlder problem," she reported. "Apparently, that's us. They think we're too resilient, too adaptable. One species is comparing us to something called the Crixtal, some kind of legendary warrior race that went extinct." Through the base's windows, Sandra could see Earth hanging in space, beautiful and blue. Strange to think that their home, which seemed so normal to them, was considered terrifyingly harsh by galactic standards. Messages from other human monitoring stations started coming in. They were all reporting the same thing: increasing alien activity and worried discussions about humanity. The Zixteri representatives on Earth were suddenly asking to leave, claiming they needed to report to the Council in person. "Listen to this one," Sandra said, playing another intercepted message. "They're shocked that we live our whole lives under constant gravity. Apparently most species get sick if they stay too long on high-gravity worlds." Paul shook his head. "Everything we take for granted is scaring them. Our strength, our endurance, even our ability to eat spicy food. It all makes us seem like monsters to them." A new message caught Sandra's attention. This one was different. Encrypted, meant for military commanders. The translation was rough, but she could make out phrases like containment protocols and species quarantine. "Sir," she said, her voice tense, "I think they're planning something. Multiple ships are moving into position around the solar system. They're trying to be subtle about it, but their formation looks like a blockade." Paul immediately ordered all Earth defense forces to high alert. As alarms began blaring through the base, Sandra intercepted one more message that made her realize just how serious the situation had become. "The humans must not be allowed to spread," the message said. "They survived on a world that should have killed them. They grew stronger instead of dying. If they reach the stars, nothing will be able to stop them." As Sandra worked through the night, monitoring more and more panic-filled alien communications, she couldn't help but smile a little. The aliens were right to be worried, but not for the reasons they thought. Humans weren't naturally violent or aggressive. They were survivors. And right now, humanity needed to survive whatever the frightened galaxy might throw at them. She looked at Earth again, peaceful and unaware of the growing crisis. The aliens didn't understand yet, but they would learn. Trying to contain humanity would only make them stronger. That's what humans did best: face challenges and overcome them. Ambassador Daniel Wright stood before the Galactic Council, looking at the sea of alien faces in the vast chamber. Some species he recognized from the documents he had studied. Others were completely new to him. All of them looked worried. The council chamber was built like a giant bowl, with rows of seats rising up on all sides. Hundreds of different species were present, each more alien than the last. Some floated in special tanks filled with their home atmosphere. Others wore environmental suits to survive in the chamber's standard air mix. "Honorable members of the council," Daniel began, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "I come before you today to address your concerns about humanity." A tall crystalline being spoke first. "Ambassador Wright, your species has been classified as an extreme threat. Reports show that humans can survive conditions that would kill most intelligent life forms. And they seem to enjoy dangerous activities." Another alien added, "They willingly jump from high places, dive into deep waters, and climb frozen mountains." Daniel raised his hand for silence. "Yes, humans are tough. We had to be to survive on Earth. But being strong doesn't make us dangerous to others." He pressed a button on his podium, and images appeared in the air above him. They showed humans helping each other after natural disasters, doctors treating the sick, and people caring for animals. "This is also humanity," he said. "We use our strength to protect and help others. Yes, we can fight if we must, but we would rather make friends than enemies." A Zixteri counselor stood up. "But your history is full of wars." Your own records show countless conflicts. True, Daniel admitted. We have fought many wars. But we have also worked hard for peace. Every time we learn to solve our conflicts without fighting, we grow stronger as a species. He showed more images: the United Nations, international space missions, global cooperation on climate change, and joint scientific projects. Humans are not just strong in body, Daniel continued. Our real strength is in working together, in learning from our mistakes, and in helping each other. Yes, we can be dangerous when threatened, but we would rather use our abilities to build than to destroy. A small, glowing alien floated forward. What guarantee can you give that humans won't try to take over other worlds? Daniel smiled. Look at your own reports. Humans can live almost anywhere, fight almost anything, and survive almost any disaster. If we wanted to conquer the galaxy, we would have tried as soon as we developed space travel. Instead, we reached out to make peaceful contact. The chamber grew quiet as the council members considered his words. Daniel continued, showing them more images of human achievements in science, art, and technology. We don't want to fight you, he said. We want to join you. Think about what humanity could offer the galaxy. Our strength could help protect weaker species. Our ability to survive harsh conditions could help with colonizing difficult worlds. Our determination could help solve problems that have puzzled the galaxy for ages. An elder council member spoke up. And what do humans want in return? The same thing every species wants, Daniel replied. A chance to learn, to grow, to explore, and to make friends among the stars. Yes, we are strong. Yes, we are tough. But we are also curious, creative, and caring. We want to be your allies, not your enemies. As the council members discussed among themselves, Daniel received a message from Earth. More alien ships were gathering around the solar system. If this meeting didn't go well, things could get very dangerous very quickly. But Daniel wasn't worried. He had one more card to play. One final truth about humanity that might change everything. The council was about to learn that human strength wasn't just in their bodies or their ability to survive. It was in their hearts and in their endless capacity to adapt and grow. Dr. Alice Martinez stood next to Ambassador Daniel Wright in the Galactic Council chamber as he prepared to reveal humanity's final secret. The chamber was silent, filled with tension after his previous speech. Before you vote on Earth's fate, Daniel said, there's something you need to see. He nodded to Alice, who stepped forward with her data tablet. During our first contact, she began, the Zixteri called Earth a death world. They were right. Our planet should have killed us. Instead, it made us stronger, but that's not the most important thing about humans. She displayed images of human medical facilities. When one of us is sick, others work tirelessly to help them heal. When disaster strikes, humans rush to help strangers. We use our strength not just to survive, but to help others survive too. Krithax, who had been quietly watching from the side, stepped forward. Council members, I must speak. Yes, humans are physically powerful. Yes, they can be dangerous. But in all our studies, we missed something crucial. He showed his own recordings from Earth, images of humans helping injured animals, teaching children, and working together to solve problems filled the chamber. Humans don't just survive, Krithax explained. They help others survive. They take their incredible abilities and use them to protect those who are weaker. An emergency signal suddenly lit up the chamber's main screen. A cargo ship carrying refugees from a dying star system was in trouble near Earth's solar system. The ship's engines had failed, and it was being pulled into a gas giant's gravity well. The council erupted in chaos. The ship was too deep in the strong gravity field. No rescue ships could reach it in time. They were about to watch hundreds of beings die. Then Alice's tablet lit up with a message from the Lunar Defense Base. Lieutenant Sandra Morris's voice came through clearly. We've picked up the distress signal. Earth ships are moving to assist. The council watched in amazement as 3 human ships approached the stricken vessel. The gravity was incredibly strong, far more than most species could handle. But the human crews had trained their whole lives under Earth's gravity. For them, this was challenging but not impossible. "This is exactly what we've been trying to tell you," Daniel said as they watched the rescue unfold. "Humans aren't just tough. We use our strength to help others." The human ships moved carefully through the crushing gravity, attached cables to the alien vessel, and slowly pulled it to safety. When it was over, the council chamber was completely silent. The crystalline being who had spoken against humans earlier floated forward. Perhaps we have been looking at this wrong. We saw the humans' strength as a threat, but they just proved they will risk their lives to save others." Alice stepped forward again. "That's the real truth about humans that should shock the galaxy. We're not just survivors. We're protectors. Yes, we're strong. Yes, we can be dangerous, but we choose to use our abilities to help others." The council voted that day to accept Earth into the galactic community. But they did more than that. They created a new role for humans, galactic protectors. Earth's ships would help guard peaceful species. Human strength would be used to protect, not to threaten. As Alice and Daniel prepared to return to Earth, Krithax approached them one last time. "We were so afraid of your strength that we almost missed your greatest power, your ability to care for others." Alice smiled. "That's the funny thing about humans. The same things that make us dangerous. Our strength, our determination, our ability to survive anything, also make us really good at helping others survive too." Looking out at the stars through the council chamber's huge windows, Alice thought about how far they had come. Humans had gone from being seen as terrifying death-world monsters to being accepted as guardians of galactic peace. The galaxy was right to be shocked by humans, she thought. But not because we're dangerous. Because we're proof that the hardest environments don't have to make you hard. They can teach you to be strong enough to help others.